Hi, this is Rock. We're going to look at the if function. This is so powerful, you're going to have a lot of fun. It's all based on logic here, and Excel makes it very simple. So you type the if function, and it's going to want to know some things here. What is your logical test? This can be very basic in terms of saying 2 plus 2 equals 4. And value if true, we can say correct. Value if false, we can say incorrect. So what's going on here is we've got three arguments in the if function. We've got the logical test, which is this, and you see how when I click on this and select it, it's telling me that that's true. The value if true, it's going to say correct. The value if false, it's going to say incorrect. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and we'll see what comes out of the function. It says correct. All right, so let's change this to say 2 plus 3 equals 4. That says incorrect. Okay. The great thing about the if function is you can use it all throughout a complex spreadsheet to do checks and balances, to do logical calculations, to bring in data under certain conditions. The if statement is completely versatile and useful. Let's do an example of something that will be helpful. Let's put in a sequence here of 12 rows, and then we can say if this equals 5, then yes. And if no, I'll type no. We'll say enter, so no, but let me copy these down. See how that says yes now. All right, now let's make this a reference. So I'm going to say 5 here, and we'll replace this with the reference to there. Note, if I want to copy this down, I'm going to need to make that an absolute reference. So I'm going to take this, hit Control D to fill down. Now, if I change this to 6, see how it changed there? If I change this to 2, it's now saying yes there. So the if function allows you to drive answers based on logical tests. So let's do something else here. I'm going to make one more row here. Before I do that, let's make sure we're pegged on the correct column here. So I'm going to paste that down. All right, now let's take this, copy it, and put it here. I can say 4 here, and you see how it shifted there. All right, now let's do a thing where we want to make sure both are true. There's an ifs function that we will go over later, but what I wanted to illustrate is the nesting of if statements. So I'm going to have if this equals this, then we're going to do another if statement. If this equals this. In this case, and let me make sure that I've got these pegged to row 3 so that I can copy them down and have them work. So what's going on here is that in this first logical test, if it says N6 equals P2, then go do this next logical test, which is if N6 equals Q3. So what's happening here is we're basically requiring that both be true in order to get this yes. Because I'm going to say if this first one is yes, then go ask this other question. If this second one is yes, then say yes. Otherwise, say no. So right here, this whole thing becomes the value if true for the first if. And the nested if has its own logical test and value if true, value if false. So I need a value if false for the first if statement, which I'm just going to say no then. Okay? So in this case, when I hit enter and copy this down, they will all say no because these two don't match. But if I put a 2 in here, then we'll get a yes. If I make this 5, these are all no's because my condition is that both the first and the second need to equal what's in here. So let me change this by saying that this is 5. in which case these are saying yes. So that's a very simple example of nesting if statements. There's so much you can do with if, and we're going to use it all the time. Take a look at this and see how you can make sure that you understand it so that we can move forward. That's if. That's how if works. Next, we're going to do and or. See you then.